Often, sexuality is the price you pay for things that you have not yet discovered with your consciousness. I want to give you a few examples as to what I am talking about. I grew up with a very traditional two parents, and my father, for example, has read the whole Old Testament. I was raised Christian. My brother was immediately sent to a Christian high school as he graduated. I also went there, but I went there by choice because I am 7 years younger than my brother. My sister, who is the middle child, she also had been the most attention seeking all our lives, but because she is the middle child, she just could get away with it, and I was a bit jealous of that. What she was jealous of me though, so my sister was jealous of me, was the actual worrying and attention that surrounded me everywhere we went. For example, because I was the smallest child, we used to joke, well, I can get the largest part of the cake, and so on and so forth. Meanwhile, my brother, he was just kind of the guy in the house, but it was like he wasn't even like my father much. He's more like me in temperament, so I understood him, but since I was so small and misunderstood myself, I couldn't really express the sympathy that I had for him. So he started kind of rebelling and just wandering away the soonest, not surprisingly, especially because he was the first child, and first children usually are, as traditional as they may be, they usually are a bit more rebellious or strict in their mindset themselves. So not as experimentative, but I want to talk about my mother a little bit because she changed when I was 8 years old, and she changed because she did something that transformed the whole family for the rest of our lives. And that is because she did something that changed her essence, her being, who she was, and how she thought and uh, just felt about and of herself without even noticing it at first because it felt good. So when I was 8 years old, my sister was around 13, while my brother was about 15. My brother was already quite mature, but since boys mature more later than female children, my brother obviously might not have been ready for when my mother had been starting to do. My sister, not surprisingly, at that age, she started doing exactly what my mother had started doing, just in her own way, in her own kind of, childish, experimentative, naive way, even more naive than my mother. And I, being so young, I retrospectively realized that I also started doing my own thing, just more subconsciously than even my sister, because I didn't even need and here I am telling the story partner for it. So my father reportedly and allegedly had been the most loyal member in the family when it comes to body counts. Now, I respect my father for that immensely because, first of all, that is rare in the world in general, especially in the West. And my father is a doctor, so he is extremely highly educated, but my mother has been also. Maybe she just had not been as respected as my father, for sure, in business and in life, but she's also in a different field entirely, dealing with children, teaching children, and so on and so forth, diagnosing them. So she works more one-on-one rather than in classrooms and in front of crowds and in scientific you know rooms or offices doing research. So her work is more dependent on socializing in a way, but not necessarily directly. So um, now, going back to the story, what my mother did when I was 8 years old, when I was still very young, and when I was just still, kind of like trying to take in everything that I was born into, was my mother started cheating on my father in a serial manner. And the first time I was 8 years old, and the way I found out though is, first of all, everything that happens in a child's household, a child usually feels. And I also felt that when it happened. The way I reacted was I became extremely sexual as a child. Um, and if you are getting like you know more open as I'm saying this, I'm just saying this is not even the juiciest part. This is just the beginning of the story. So the story is not about me actually, because I was just a child doing my thing, and basically I became extremely chaotic in all aspects of life, including my sexuality, which I was not biologically mature for. So for some reason I think I picked up on my mother's chaotic energy around the time subconsciously, and then I transferred it, and I internalized it, and then I started doing things based on the energy only. And exactly, and lo and behold, um my mother got into this kind of hassle of taking me too seriously, because I'm also the youngest child, receiving the most attention from my parents usually, and getting me from